Welcome, welcome. Hey guys.
Hello. Welcome, everyone.
Got a pretty good turnout today.
Already better than last time.
All right, I'll quickly just get the rest of the team on. Awesome, everyone's joining.
A lot of familiar faces in the crowd. Giancarlo from Meld Capital.
Yeah, good to have you here.
Joe Riento, Shazam. D4, Don.
I7, one of our mods.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely a WAGME group right here, guys.
Oh yeah, big time.
All right. We just wait for a couple more people and then we're going to start this, guys.
Hey, good to have you here, Nimi. All right, should we give it a few minutes and then get started?
Yeah, that sounds good. Just to give a couple people in case they're like a minute or two late,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everyone knows at the beginning of this, we're dropping the big alpha of what's coming in 2022. So whoever's here right now, highly engaged community members.
In for a treat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys want to go ahead and maybe start off by introducing you guys self? We can start with Austin and then go from Gail and work our way down from there.
Yeah, perfect.
Sounds good. I think a lot of people here have probably heard me speak recently, like on JT and that sort of thing, but I'm Austin and I'm leading the product team at xBacked, and we're building a decentralized stablecoin for Algorand. And yeah, that's pretty much me. I'll let the other core contributors and team introduce themselves.
Yeah, I'm JVST, or you can call me Gull, which is my actual name. I'm the community manager for xBacked, and I'll be really focused on, hands-on community engagement related things, making sure that we're, collaborating with other projects because we're really focused on composability and interoperability inside the Algo ecosystem. So making sure that we're, having those win-win initiatives and growing as an ecosystem, not just ourselves, because that's, I think, that's the most important thing, and that's what we're prioritizing. So yeah, that's me.
I nominate Rourke to go next.
Hello everyone, I'm xRourke. My real name is Diego, and I'm a full stack developer here at xBacked. I'm usually in charge of the UI, so if you're seeing bugs in there, yeah, that's my fault. And I'll be releasing deep thoughts on Twitter, some interesting ideas on DeFi, on the protocol, and a lot of that is coming, so that's my main two focus right now. And
Yeah.
I'll nominate Think, Tom.
Hey guys, I'm Tom. Jago's nominated me to speak. I'm working on a lot of smart contracts that haven't been released yet. So in the future, I'm not going to drop too much, but there's some smart contracts in the works that will be coming out soon, and you guys will benefit from them. So that's what I've been working on. And I'm going to nominate Jay-Z.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I'm JC. My real name is Juan Carlos, in case you want to find me in other place. Right now, I'm working on testing, so I'm making sure you do not lose your algos when we go mainnet. Sorry for the bad audio quality, by the way. I don't have my headset. But yeah, thanks for joining. I think Nimi is the only one missing.
Good day, guys. My name is Nimi, and presently I'm working majorly on smart contracts and the SDK. So yeah, I think I'm the last person, right?
That's right. That's all the team for right now. In a few more weeks, we actually have our head of growth starting, which I'm very, very excited for. Her name is Denvin. So looking forward to the community, getting to know her.
Well, that is awesome. And for anyone that doesn't know, I'm your friendly neighborhood algo degen. I'm going to be hosting the AMA today, guys. Let's go start off. What is xBacked, and what you got for us today, Austin?
For sure. So xBacked is a decentralized stablecoin backed by different ASAs on Algorand. So we'll be beginning with Algo, and pretty soon in Testnet we'll be releasing our GoBTC and GoETH vaults. And in mainnet you can expect those vaults to be released pretty quickly after we first launch. And today, before we get the AMA started, I'm just going to talk a little bit about our 2022 roadmap and what you can expect from the team and sort of the rough timing. So obviously none of this is super set in stone because things, as you all know, change from hour to hour in DeFi. But in broad strokes, it's just sort of the direction that we're heading. So this quarter, to kick off the year, was our testnet launch in early February, which has been fantastic. Everyone here has given really good feedback and tested the product, which we really, really appreciate. It's helped us iterate and improve and fix all the bugs that you've found. So that's been fantastic. And to round out the quarter, we're beginning our audit. So we're doing 2 audits. Our audit with runtime verification starts next week. And then we have a second audit booked in with a firm called Ularm Labs, and they start the week after. And so that nicely leads us into Q2, where our initial foundational audits will be complete and we can launch on mainnet. And so initially that launch on mainnet is just going to have the Algo collateral vault. But as we said, we'll pretty quickly expand to include GoBTC and GoETH as well. And then once we're in mainnet, we'll be looking at what other collateral types are available. So at the moment, those 3 are very strong collateral types. But I think with all the products coming to market pretty soon, there'll be a much wider array of assets that we can include on xBacked. And so yeah, during Q2, while we launch mainnet, we're going to be focusing on Q3, right? That we're building what we need for Q3. And so Tom mentioned before, he's been working on contracts that aren't going to be used right now. And so that's mainly around staking. So in Q3, that's when we'll be launching our token. So initially, the product will be launched without a governance token. And then in Q3, we'll be launching that. The exact details of what that launch looks like will come out fairly soon, probably towards the beginning of Q2. And so during Q2, we'll be building the staking contracts and also getting them audited, ready to go for Q3. And that's when we'll bring in staking for our X governance token, staking for LP tokens, and we'll also be applying to be a part of the Algorand's Foundation liquidity mining program, similar to what AlgoFi, AlgoMint, and TinyMan have been doing the last couple of months. We'll be applying for the same program as well. And on top of that, in Q2, actually, we also have the Hack Algo hackathon. So we've actually got a bounty up. So if there are any developers interested in building with our SDK and integrating with the protocol, hit us up in the technical chat channel, and you'll be able to participate in the bounty. And it's not just us. We're doing that with folks, AlgoFi, TinyMan, AlgoMint, and a bunch of other ecosystem projects. So definitely check that out if you're interested. And so towards the end of Q3, that's when we'll be looking to have protocol governance live. So it could be the end of Q3 or the beginning of Q4, depending on the tooling available for DAOs. So we've been talking to Prismatic about what they're building. And it's really, really exciting stuff. So they'll have integrated multi-sig wallets. And they'll also, I think, work on voting and governance products as well. So we'll keep the community posted on that. And then in Q4, fairly generally, that's going to be when our liquidity mining program begins with the X governance token. And it's when I think we'll be able to add liquid staking assets as a collateral type. So liquid staking, similar to Guard, the stablecoin, will allow people to participate in governance and then receive sort of a derivative token that they can use elsewhere. And so for 2022, xBacked does not have plans to integrate directly with governance, mostly because we want to see the Algorand Foundation deliver interoperable smart contracts that we can integrate our contracts with. And this might be a little bit of an alpha leak, but when I spoke to them the other day, they said that would be ready in Q4, right? So I think you can expect a fully integrated governance experience with xBacked early next year, and in the interim, we'll be accepting liquid staking collateral types, which is exciting. And then, yeah, Q4 is just really focusing on growth and partnerships and bringing a lot of value to our community. So yeah, that's the broad strokes of the 2022 roadmap. Yeah, it's going to be a very, very exciting year. And like I said, none of this is like super set in stone. This is definitely things I think are achievable, but you know, things might change and we might be able to do something even more exciting. So yeah, just keep active in the Discord for further details on what's coming.
Man, that's some exciting stuff. And like I said, I've been excited about your project since I first saw you in a Twitter space with Chris. So yeah, man, I love the roadmap, man. Looking forward to seeing most of it play out if it can. Even a little bit will be bullish in my opinion.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But all right, we got some pre-selected questions from the Twitter and the Discord that the community asks. If you guys have any more questions, put them in the AMA section in the community. I'll read them out as I go, and then we'll start bringing some people up afterwards for you guys to ask the team direct questions. So first question from Twitter is from mgbu.btc. is there a minimum to hold to do a transaction? Then how much of the stable asset can we get? I mean, the highest one.
Yeah. I'm happy to jump in. It sounds like they're asking about is there like a minimum deposit or minimum minting amount? So originally there was a $1,000 minimum deposit, but pretty quickly the community sort of said that sucks, and we listened. And so for mainnet, we'll be bringing that down to the minimum. When you create a vault, you must mint 100 xUSD. Now, in theory, we could bring this number down and there could be no limit. However, we were sort of thinking through this and we realized it opens up an interesting attack vector. And it means a malicious user could basically DDoS xBacked in the sense that they can create a bunch of junk vaults with not a lot of collateral or debt. And that would slow down liquidations. It would slow down other keepers that are proposing vaults for redemptions. And so in general, it would decrease the health of the protocol. So with this minimum, it first of all makes it more expensive for malicious attackers. And if they're going to go to the effort to try and DDoS, at least there's a decent amount of, I guess, TVL that they're bringing in if they really, really wanted to try. Like, it makes it worthwhile for liquidators to actually track these vaults rather than tiny, tiny amounts. So yeah, that's, I think, hopefully answers the question.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he was asking as well. All right. Next question is, I am interested in the liquidation mechanism. Can you explain more?
Yeah, this is a good one, and I'd welcome other core contributors to jump in on this as well. So xBacked originally began where 100% of a vault would be liquidated when it dropped under 110%. Now, this could be quite a hard thing to achieve if there was a lot of capital in that vault, right? So what we decided, and it's also not great UX, I would say, for the owner of a vault. So what we're doing now is when a vault drops under 110%, it's partially liquidated back to 120%, right? And so liquidators can come and repay however much of the vault debt and receive discounted collateral over time. And so the way this works is, as a liquidator repays, let's say they repay 100 xUSD, right? They would get discounted collateral, right? So they would repay 100 xUSD to the vault, and they would get $102.5 back of collateral, right? Which they can then go and immediately sell on a DEX for a profit, right? And that's, I guess, the basics of liquidation. So if I know that user is in our Discord because they asked in the AMA channel as well. If they're in the call, let us know in their AMA channel. Yeah, they are in the call. Fantastic. Let us know if that helped clarify. And I guess the other thing to keep in mind is, in a liquidation, the protocol will take a 1% fee as well. So I hope that helped to clarify liquidations. If any of the other team want to jump in and speak to that, now is a good time.
No, I think you pretty much covered it. That's pretty much liquidations.
We'll release a detailed example in the coming week, because it is a little bit confusing to think about, because over time you're left with a small portion of your collateral. So you'll still have some collateral, but it might not be as much as you think. So we'll release a example in our doc site that explains and walks through example precisely with all the fees and all the different values.
Right. I think that answered it really well. We will move to the next question. They say the season of the DAO is over. Do you agree with this statement? Also, what's the different mechanisms in place so that you guys stand out and don't have to rely the DAO season upon us or behind us?
I actually have a pretty interesting perspective on this. So I think really with any trend or any sort of season, I really think that once that trend dies down, for example, like NFTs or even the hype around DAOs, once that kind of settles down a bit, I think that's really the moment that deciphers projects that are on it as a bandwagon and projects that are actually on it to really, really utilize the concept. And we're really planning to do that through, partnerships with projects like Prismatic, implementing our own in-house DAO toolings and governance mechanisms. So I think, I think it really depends on how you see it. Yeah, that's my perspective.
I would agree. Like, we're super, super, super early in terms of DeFi, DAOs, and that sort of thing. And the current iteration, right? Like, if you think about the DeFi protocols of 2017 era, that's not the final iteration. So when you look at DAOs, and the most mature DAOs are at this point, I guess 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 years old. Like thinking of Maker and Synthetics. There's only 2 probably really truly distributed DAOs, which is Synthetics and Maker, and I guess Compound as well. So it is a long journey, and I think there's still a lot of discovery left along that journey. And I think it will come in waves, right? Like the first DAO came out in 2016 and had a massive hack, right? And so people stayed away from DAOs, for a while. And now they're making a bit of a comeback. And with DAO tooling, like Snapshot on Ethereum and Gnosis Safe and that sort of thing, it's becoming, really, really interesting to build a DAO. So, I don't think it's a short-term thing. I mean, none of the team here are here for the short term. We're all thinking in the long term. And so, seasons come and go, but I think, as Gal said, the strong projects will just keep on going and keep building and keep believing, I guess.
I can agree with all that as well, because I mean, if you think about it, Algorand is one giant DAO, or technically might be the largest DAO with the hooks that are put in.
Yeah, that's a fantastic.
It's like we're like a planet in a solar system, the Algorand solar system.
Yeah, and Borderless, they're opening up their fund to be a DAO, which I think is super exciting for Algorand. So I think we're still in the macro early, even though maybe this cycle, the hype might die out, all that sort of thing.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next question here. Are you afraid someday there will be another project with more innovative technology that can replace your project?
Yeah, this is a good question, and there's a few questions in a similar vein, but I'll tackle the innovative part of this question, not necessarily the more macro. Like, are you worried about competition? How do you guys differentiate? That sort of thing. So this is a tale as old as time. There's always disruptive companies that come along and beat those companies that are entrenched in their ways, are not willing to experiment, are not willing to explore new products and that sort of thing. And the successful companies that don't get disrupted are those that can accept the old way of doing things, or the technology that they have is becoming obsolete. And so I think it's a very good question. So we're building on Algorand. So already, like, our base layer 1 is very, very strong technology. We're building with Reach, so we took a bet on Reach being the dominant way to build on Algorand down the track. So we were forward thinking then. I think when it comes to the core protocol mechanics, I think that's a great question. So smart contracts, as everyone knows, are immutable. So once we deploy, that's kind of it. The protocol could go on forever. But I think through the DAO and the ecosystem, right, as new primitives come up or as new mechanisms and architecture designs come up, it will be up to, you know, the core team, of course, but also the community to ensure xBacked does not fall behind. And I think it helps, like, from the outset for contributors on xBacked, like, always be thinking, you know, what is going to end us? What would make us obsolete? And make sure we either build that or invest in or collaborate closely with whatever protocol that looks like. So really, it's just a game of awareness and making sure you're not falling behind and getting complacent. That's at least how I think about it, and I welcome the other team members to sort of talk to this point as well. Yeah, something I feel pretty strongly about.
Oh, I wanted to also add, I think really there's something really special about the crypto landscape. It's very I think the ones who really stand out are the ones who are in a very collaborative frame and are very focused on, you know, ensuring that everyone grows together, because at the end of the day, you know, if we don't support Algorand as a whole, then, you know, we're all on the same boat. So I think that's a really strong philosophy we're taking on.
Definitely. And I think initiatives like Hack Algo are a great example of this, because you have competitors working together, because right now it's very optimal to grow the ecosystem and get more developers in, right? Like AlgoFi folks, xBacked, Tiny Man, Pact, everyone is like in there creating initiatives to help grow Algorand. And I think that's a really, really great thing. I think it's something that, I mean, I can't imagine direct competitors collaborating that closely over time. But right now, it's definitely a like win-win for everybody involved. And so it's great that xBacked is a part of that and a part of exploring those win-wins with competitors.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add that you can already see that the trend is already going in the right direction. For example, like the TVL of the whole Algorand ecosystem has consistently been steadily growing. It's not been over-promising anything or not under-delivering anything. It's been consistent and steady, and that's the kind of ecosystem we want to be a part of.
Awesome. And I love it. Here's the next question. Competition between native stablecoins is always great. So what's the difference between stable and xUSD?
Great question from community member Sinzero. So the big difference right now is the capital efficiency xUSD has over stable. So it's actually quite hard to figure out the exact collateral ratio, but AlgoFi will allow you to borrow up to 80% of whatever you've supplied in stable. Where xBacked, on the UI, we let you go to a 120% C ratio, but at the smart contract level, like we've talked about this in some of the channels before, we're thinking about a degen mode where you can sort of flick a button and just, you know, mint to the maximum, right? If you really, really wanted to. So that's one difference, is the capital efficiency. The other, and I think this is quite important, is AlgoFi, their collateral types and their lending market is all intertwined, right? So their limited by what collateral they can bring on board, because it starts bleeding into their entire protocol. For xBacked, the way we are architected, it's called isolated risk markets. And what this means is the different collateral types are not combined, right? So in one sense, you might go, oh, that means like it's not as capital efficient, but it is more efficient in terms of handling your risk. Because if you have a Go BTC xUSD vault and an Algo xUSD vault, if BTC takes a massive dive, only that vault becomes at risk, right? The other vaults, I mean, Algo might be correlated with Bitcoin, but in this example, let's say Algo goes the other direction. That position would be completely unaffected by what's happening to Bitcoin. Whereas Stable and AlgoFi, all of their collateral types are in one basket. So if one starts to drop, your entire, I think they use borrowing utilization, your borrow utilization starts to get more unhealthy, right? Rather than just a single loan that you've taken on from them. So at the moment, that's the big one. As well, our protocol has a redemption mechanism, which the community might have heard us talk about before. And this redemption mechanism creates a floor to the price of xUSD, because as soon as you see xUSD on a DEX trading below its peg, you can come and redeem a single xUSD token for $1 of collateral. So it could be Algo, could be Go BTC, whatever it is. And that results in buying pressure on the DEX, which increases, helps us come back to peg. So that's another mechanism that neither AlgoFi or AlgoGuard have. And then the other lever we have, I guess, to pull is we recently added an interest rate to vaults, and that helps us control the supply and demand a little bit more for xUSD, which in turn helps us maintain peg. So I guess I'm not sure if Sin is in the AMA, but that's how I think about xBacked in the competition. Those are the key differentiating factors. And as well, like specifically for AlgoFi, they have a DEX, a money market, and a stablecoin, whereas the xBacked team is only focused on a stablecoin, right? We treat the stability of xUSD as if it's another feature, right? We treat it as good UX and bad UX. If it's super volatile, that's bad user experience. If it's really stable, that's very good user experience. So yeah, we have relentless focus on making sure we build the best decentralized stablecoin on Algorand, and that's what we're focused on.
All right. Sounds good as well, too. This next question is from Taybrew. I believe in the future of xBack will have great success reaching billions of dollars to be locked. You surely will have to be under great pressure with billions of dollars of responsibility, also require great security. So what do you do to take up on this challenge?
Great question from Tayview. So I think the commitment to getting audited by maybe more than one firm makes a lot of sense. So beginning with our foundational audit, as we covered in the roadmap, we're getting audited by 2 different firms that have 2 different auditing styles. And I think that's important. So we'll be making sure to keep that up and book in consistent auditing periods for all of our smart contracts. And then on top of that, we've made the decision to build with Reach, which is a much secure way to develop on Algorand than just writing PyTeal and Teal. It really helps us avoid some of the nasty bugs like integer overflows and that sort of thing that have affected other protocols. So yeah, I think that's the quick answer. And I think also the team is just very conscious of the different attack vectors that there are, right? So we spoke before about a DDoS attack on the network that would slow down liquidations, right? That's not a smart contract vulnerability. That's more of like a general vulnerability. So we're taking that into consideration too. So yeah, security is something we take very seriously. And another thing we're doing, right, is making sure only high quality collateral is available on xBacked. Because if we start introducing poor collateral, that's very bad for the stability of xUSD and the protocol as a whole. So that's kind of the core to how we're managing security and stability of the protocol.
Security is very important. Another question from Tabu is automated market makers, they usually don't need an oracle because they're automated market makers, which means they automatically balance prices based on smart contract balance. But a whole new level of true DeFi applications, the waiting for an oracle prices. So in the future, who will be the supplier on this? I put an example, what do you think about Chainlink?
Very, very, very good and thoughtful question. So right now on Algorand's mainnet, there are no oracles. Okay. In testnet, there is Algoracle. And coming soon, I think there's one called Tuple. I believe it's Tuple. Please, someone correct me if that's incorrect. And I know Algorand Inc. is talking to Chainlink. So Chainlink, once upon a time, was meant to launch at the end of 2021. The last update I received was Chainlink be like a mid-2022 kind of thing. So we'll see what happens there. I know as well, Pith on Solana is also looking at bringing support to Algorand. So right now, there's no options in mainnet. I think the first option we will have for mainnet is Algoracle. And we are in contact with their team. But I think going back to security, actually, Oracle price feeds are a massive one for DeFi, and it is something we're going to be very, very careful with, especially with lack of, I guess, proven oracles, right? Algoracle is great, but it hasn't been battle tested, right? Chainlink is, I think, the only oracle that hasn't had any issues with its price feed. Every other oracle has had problems. Pith has had misprints. Tuple, I'm actually not sure of. I hadn't heard of them until they announced Algorand. So, yeah, oracles are tricky. And I welcome the team to talk a little bit more about that as well. Yeah. To be clear, right now in testnet, what we're doing is we're aggregating a bunch of prices from AlgoFi, from Tinyman, from centralized exchanges, and that sort of thing, publishing it to the vault. Yeah, and that was just so we could build the protocol with some sort of solution, given the infancy of Algorand DeFi system.
Yeah, I personally think like the current Oracle process you're doing with the current iteration of xBacked it's good enough for right now. You know, when there's like crazy flash loans or people may over leverage, that's where you might experience some issues there. But
Exactly.
yeah.
And I think like this is something that doesn't just affect xBacked, it affects folks, it affects AlgoFi, it affects other DeFi protocols as well. So everyone's being forced to have some more centralized solution than they would like, right? As soon as is feasible, we're going to move away to a proper oracle. Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. Can you please tell me the mission and vision of xBacked DAO in the near future?
Good question from Manny. So the mission and vision, I think, and this comes back to like how do we keep innovating? xBacked is at the core about unlocking capital efficiency in Algorand, making the whole ecosystem more capital efficient. Now, to begin with, an over-collateralized stablecoin is a good enough solution, right? It unlocks algos and gives people capital to play with to go and invest in other projects, to go and yield farm, to buy NFTs, whatever they would like to do, right? But being over collateralized leaves some capital on the table that you're unable to use. And what this looks like in TradFi is obviously when you get a loan from a bank, you put up collateral in some cases and say, hey, I need 50K to grow my business. And the bank goes, yeah, sure, that's fine. And then you have 50K on top of whatever assets you have at the time to grow your business. So over time, following this mission of bringing capital efficiency, a few different product ideas make sense. I think what Maple Finance is doing over in Ethereum and now Solana is super, super interesting. So they're helping blockchain-based businesses get those under collateralized loans, which means they can grow and they have working capital. So obviously no hard commitment there, but long term it makes sense for us to explore different solutions than just an over collateralized stablecoin.
Hey, next question is from Zen0 again. Staking xUSD means that bots are able to run liquidations on your behalf. Do the discounted collaterals automatically go into the user's wallet, or will it be sitting somewhere where it needs to be manually claimed?
Good question, and this I think kind of lines up with a question from Giancarlo in the channel. So for those that don't know, we will be launching with a feature that allows you to stake your xUSD to participate in liquidations and also to receive a portion of the fees generated by the protocol. So specifically, the fees that are distributed to xUSD stakers are in the form of collateral, so Algo, GoBTC, GoETH. And those fees come from liquidations and redemptions. And the fee split, I believe, is 25% to xUSD stakers. This is right now, 75% DAO, but we could definitely flip that around. So it's more enticing for xUSD stakers to receive those fees. So that's kind of like what happens passively from staking xUSD, but at the same time, bots can come and use that xUSD to liquidate a vault. And when this happens, the xUSD staker receives like the largest portion of the collateral. So they receive a 2% discount on the collateral, while the bot takes 0.5% of the collateral. So specifically for Sinexro's question, the contract will require users to claim the xUSD right now, although we haven't entered audit yet, and we could get it to pay the user's wallet directly with like the liquidation. Actually, I think it does get transferred automatically. Tom, you worked on this. Nimi, you guys worked on this. Please correct me.
Sorry, can you say that one more time, Austin?
So in the liquidation staking contract, when someone's capital is used in a liquidation, did they get paid that liquidation straight into their wallet, or does it go into the contract to be claimed?
No, so right now it goes into a pending claimable amount. So there's assets set aside for them to claim, which also includes staking rewards and things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's an active thing. It's not transferred straight away.
Yeah.
In the current implementation.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for the clarification. And then to your question, Giancarlo, I think like this will have a nice front end where you can stake your xUSD and you can how much of the fee pool that you're entitled to given your stake, how long you've been staking for. And then the bots themselves, like we'll just work with developers to build out bots. And in some cases, some developers might contact different institutions and say, hey, I'll run bots just for your addresses or something like that. to make sure they have priority for liquidations, right? Which I think makes a lot of sense. I think it's an enticing opportunity for developers to integrate into the xBacked protocol.
All right. I got one guy that's I might as well combine his question here together. What led you to make xBacked DAO's Inception, and how was the name originated?
Yeah, so the origination of xBacked, like the idea, came from a conversation I had with Meld Ventures. So they're based in Australia and really, really heavily involved in the Algorand ecosystem. And so we're just talking about what kind of products make sense for the Algorand ecosystem. Originally, we spoke about an NFT project that at the time didn't interest me. I thought it was all very hypey. I turned out to be quite wrong on that. And then we started talking more DeFi, and given my background in computer science and finance at university and at a fintech incubator, that's something I was really interested in building, and I could see the value it would add to the Algorand ecosystem. So yeah, and for the name, I couldn't even tell you. I guess when you think about xUSD, it's backed, right? And so put the X in front of back, you get xBacked. It's not a flashy story, but that's where it came from.
All right. I think that did a good job answering that question. Currently on the market, this is from Livu. Currently on the market, there are many stable coins, and xUSD is a few. What we want to aim for xUSD is be an indispensable choice in the market. How do you guys plan to do that? Promote xUSD to users. How long does it take for us to achieve our goals? And in the future, how many stable coins born with better functions? What will you do to make xUSD strength that investors need to focus on?
Thoughtful question, and it leads from the other questions around how do we maintain being innovative? What's the difference between Algorand stablecoins, right? But at a more macro sense, xBacked has a lot more competition. We have competition with UST. We have competition with DAI. We have competition with MIM, right? In the macro picture when you're talking about this. And this week I did an interview with Algo HQ, which will be published next week. And we talk a bit about this in that. And we talk about, one day will all the stable coins just get rolled up into one. So it's sort of abstracted away from users. And there's just one that has really deep liquidity across many different markets. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the baskets Algo Mint is talking about. So for those who tuned into the showcase yesterday, I think that was discussed a little bit, how there'll be a Go USD that will incorporate Tether, USDC, and maybe other stablecoins, and then there'll be another basket that might incorporate xUSD, stable, bridged DAI, and that sort of thing. So I think working towards those initiatives is important. I think the most important is finding product market fit for xUSD, and I see that in two ways. So Anchor on Terra is very popular because of the yield you can get on your stables. So I think exploring ways to make sure xUSD has strong yield opportunities is super important. Not just so people will use it, but for the stability, right? People need a reason to hold xUSD instead of selling it for USDC or other stable coins. And so following on from that, the other one is, product market fit where people can actually use xUSD to do something. Some ideas would be NFT marketplaces, on Exa, when they go live, you'll be able to use xUSD on Exa because they allow, whatever basket you wanted to use, whatever basket of assets you want to use, sorry. I think launch pads super interesting. I spoke to Algo DAO this week, and what they're working on is super exciting. And so, if we were to do a token sale via their launchpad, right, we could actually do that in xUSD instead of USDC or Algo, which I think is quite interesting. Another protocol do that as well. And then another project we've been to is Nimble Insurance. And what they're doing is going to be really cool. And a similar thing, people will be able to put aside some of their treasury or fees or whatever into stablecoins. And some projects might not want to be exposed to the risk of USD thing. And so instead, they might prefer to use xUSD in their insurance pool. So those are some ideas for adoption. And, with Denvin starting soon as our head of growth, we'll be brainstorming a lot of different ideas with how we can grow xUSD further.
All right. I think we'll do one more question, and then we'll just start bringing people up so we don't, drag it on too long here.
I just wanted to add like a quick comment on that and drop a little bit of alpha maybe. So I'm not going to give any details on that, but we're thinking very far ahead on our roadmap. And one thing that makes us different is that innovation. So we're coming up with great ideas. One of those is the smart bolts. I'm not going to say anything more. All this, Austin is going to kill me for this, but okay, that's one of those. And that comes with more capital efficiency. Then that's what we're getting back once again into, because that is basically game theory in the commodities business, in traditional finance. There's this idea that the most capital efficient business is the one who is going to get the most clients. So if one is selling, let's say, beans or wheat or whatever, the business that brings the best prices is the one who is going to get the most clients. So that's what we're doing. We're going to have the lowest fees of all in regards to this stablecoin ecosystem in Algorand, and that's basically going to create a lot of capital efficiency again with the smart contracts. And we're also going to distinguish ourselves with partnerships and other ideas that I can't tell anymore, but there are a lot of things on the table we're looking into. So through differentiation and capital efficiency, and that's the game theory that we're following, and that's what we are aiming into. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks for adding that, Diego. And yeah, to also add on top of the smart vaults, something we didn't touch on earlier when we spoke about isolated risk markets is it means our speed of iteration and experimentation is much faster than our competitors. So we spoke about AlgoFi has this money market, and they need to be very careful about what they introduce. We don't need to be as careful because we can open up an experimental vault with limited xUSD supply and see what happens. So, yeah.
Right. I think we'll do one more question from the Discord, and then we'll start taking people up. D4O wants to know, how does one acquire xBacked swag?
I think you got to talk to Diego about that. He has the actual Algoana hoodie.
Yeah, so basically we are doing printful and we have some templates on the colors, and we're doing manual stuff right now. So if the demand grows on the xBacked hoodies, t-shirts, and all of that, maybe we could set up a small store or something. But at the moment, you could order via Printful, and we could send you the designs.
And yeah, to add to that, we're actually going to be giving away some stickers and merch at the Australia Blockchain Week. Some of the team will be there too. And also at the Reach Summit, which is later this month. So if you're there, definitely keep an eye out.
Right, and if anyone wants to come up and ask a team, a question directly, feel free, and then we will announce the NFT winners. I should rephrase. But yeah, just request up if you guys want to come up.
Actually, I want to address Lobo's question in the channel.
Oh yeah, I just saw
I think,
that.
I think it's important. So with the stability fee, it's fixed for a vault. Now, if we decided we should do something to stimulate the supply of xUSD or whatever, the way we would need to go around doing that is deploying an updated vault with an updated stability fee. And so existing vaults, people can withdraw from them, people can repay xUSD, and that's it. So you can't actually create vaults on the old on the old vault, I guess. You can only create on the new one. And so that older vault enters a shutdown mode as people migrate to the new vault. So why 2%? Because I think it's a great place to start. And as well, the interest rate is only one lever we have. So we also have that redemptions mechanism that will help as well. So I think it's just a good place to begin. And then after that, we'll need to see, what does liquidity look like? What does TVL look like? And all of that sort of thing. So I hope that helps to answer your question, Lobo. I think Tink had a question at some point as well, but it looks like maybe it was covered already.
Yeah, I was trying to make sure, like something kind of reiterated, like a last question. I didn't ask it again. But let me see here.
There was a question from Don about partnerships with folks and that sort of thing. I think the recent announcement for xUSD being supplied on Testnet, so you can go from the xBacked testnet over to the folks testnet and supply xUSD there. I think that's definitely a partnership we're looking to carry through to mainnet as well.
All right. And we got some people typing some questions here. What happens to the funds recovered from liquidation vaults? Well, they go to the stakers for the most part.
Yeah, so when you're staking xUSD and the xUSD is used in a liquidation, you only, because you supply the capital, you receive the majority of that collateral. The only other split is taken and given to the bot that executed the liquidation using your capital. Now, within that, there is a 1% liquidation fee that the protocol takes. And of that 1%, a percentage of that is then distributed to all xUSD stakers. So that's how it works.
All right. Does anyone want to come up, or does anyone have any other questions they'd like to ask?
there is a question about is the testnet incentivized? So right now there's no concrete plans. There's not been any announcements about this. But I think it makes a lot of sense to reward our early adopters. It makes even more sense to make sure those who use testnet and mainnet are heavily engaged in the xBacked protocol. And I think that's where I'll leave it. Like, we are tracking the wallets and addresses and that sort of thing, opening vaults on xBacked. So yeah, that's where I'll leave that question.
Yeah, and I also just wanted to add that we have a very strong emphasis on giving decision-making powers and governance powers to the community. And even if you look at our tokenomics, most of the tokens are going to be in the hands of the community anyway.
Brilliant. I guess that sort of rounds it out. If no one wants to come up or ask any other questions in the channel.
Yeah, I think we satisfied everyone, man. I really appreciate everybody for coming. I'm sure the team does too.
Yeah, it's really great seeing the turnout here, everyone, especially like some of our more regular community members coming along and listening to our mate. Really, really appreciate it.
See, I told you, way better than last time, man.
Way, way better. Way better.
Maybe we can announce the NFT winners. I think we already have a winner for the retweets, actually.
Yes, we do. The winners are Life3DT is the Twitter account name, and they won a Cactus and Co NFT.
And the Tiny Whale NFT, we will figure out the winner for that after the AMA, I think.
All right, that sounds good. And yeah, this is where I kind of say wag me. Going all in on xBacked, not financial advice, but I love the protocol and I love this team, guys. They're very, very transparent, and it's really you love to see it kind of thing. So very excited. Like, again, I appreciate everybody for coming, and this is how communities are made and born, in my opinion.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming, and get excited for what's coming for xBacked.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining.